What's going on, guys? Jared here. This is the Run with Tobe podcast. I'm here with Andrew. We are on episode 16. Let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so what's going on, Andrew?
Not much, man. We're episode 2 into the new format?
3. 2 into video, 3 into the new
Got
format.
it.
Yeah.
I just started. So for all of you out there who are on YouTube or whatever watching what's going on, Jared has worked pretty damn hard at getting some professional looking video podcast / I'm not even sure what to call it, but
yeah,
I think we got some cool stuff.
Yeah, it looks
coming
good.
up. Yeah,
it looks good. We've got 1, 2, 3 cameras rolling. So yeah, we will see which footage comes out better before we figure out where it goes. But yeah, this is episode 2 of the video podcast. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Hopefully we can get some new audience, get some.
And we're gonna try and stick to 30 minutes this time, right?
All right. Yeah, we're already going over. Look at that. So let's go ahead and dive into what's been catching your attention lately.
Yeah, man. So I guess for all the older millennials out there, anyone born like maybe the early to mid 80s,
yep.
You all know Karate Kid because we actually asked our intern if he knew Karate
Cobra
Kid.
Kai never dies.
We actually asked our intern who is about in his early 20s, and he had no idea.
Yeah,
he'd
zero
never seen
idea.
it before, which was kind of sad. But the thing that's caught my attention has been the new series that the YouTube Red has put out, Cobra Kai, which is basically kind of a sequel to the whole Karate Kid series, but done in like a kind of episodic format.
Yeah,
right.
I would say it's like I guess it's a sequel, but it's more of like a spin-off, right?
Yeah,
Ish.
you're right.
It's like a spin-off-ish, but it has all the main characters.
Yeah, so you've got
it's not really
Daniel
full
LaRusso.
spin-off.
You've got Johnny, the kind of antagonist
Yep.
from the original one. And it, the one point I wanted to make about, and so if you were a fan of the series or even watched the series and just thought it was okay, you should check it out. I think it got something like 23 million views or something
On
like
the
that.
first episode,
on the first
right?
episode.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a lot of guys like Jared and I, or girls like Jared and I out there who
binged,
who found it. But the cool thing about it, and I guess the thing that really caught my attention was how much deeper storytelling is nowadays.
Right.
It was so funny. Like when I remember watching the original, it was such like an innocent movie in a way. But
yeah, no character development.
The story is just kind of the typical like cookie cutter canned story. And here, like they really, because you're over. It's what 10? Is it 10 episodes or 11?
I think it's 10.
It's 10
episodes.
They're like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, they
each
kind of
episode.
range in time.
Yeah, and it just shows that like nowadays, like number one, the characters can get a lot more developed, but number two, the story just takes so many more twists and turns than you could have done in like a 2-hour movie.
Got to capture the audience longer, man.
Back in the day. And it just got me thinking about like how our attention has sort of changed nowadays. Like you've got shows like, I don't know if you've seen Black Mirror, but
not yet. I still have yet to see it. I need to see it.
Right. And those are the kind of shows that are catching people's attention nowadays, as opposed to kind of like the typical like 80s movie, like Rocky.
90210.
Yeah. Or like,
90s. Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's it's a little bit cheesy, I guess, back then, but now it's
cheesy.
like, it's just a little bit deeper.
Right.
Dare I say a little bit darker too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Edgier. Exactly. That's the word. But it just kind of shows that now that we've got, so many more ways to develop media and so many more ways to distribute it,
Right, and just tell a story in general, right?
Yeah, so it's a lot easier for people to string out a story a little bit longer, whereas before, like, you had to invest a pretty large budget just to get like a 2-hour story out, and you can only tell so much in 2 hours,
right?
So anyways, that was kind of what I actually watched it 1.5 times because I watched it like halfway through, and then went to go see my friend, and then he hadn't seen it, so I watched the first half of it over again, and I loved it, man. So if you were a fan of the movie back in the day, you should definitely check it out. So.
Yeah, I watched it with my wife. She hates the movie. Like she thinks it's the cheesiest thing ever.
Yeah, it kind of.
She can't stomach the movie. Any of them, which is there's no fourth one. Let's just get that straight. There's only 1, 2, and 3. Forget all the rest. And then this
Will Smith's son or whatever.
That one. Forget that one. Even the one with Hilary Swank.
Jackie Chan was in that one.
Hilary Swank, right?
Yeah, Jackie Chan was in one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, the one with Will Smith.
That's right. Yeah.
And the one with Hilary Swank where she was the next Karate Kid. Yeah, that one doesn't count either. But yeah, I watched it with my wife, and she actually enjoyed it. She liked it a lot. She got into it. And like I said, she can't stomach the movies at all. So yeah, it was good. They did a really good job. I'm excited for the next season. They already announced that they're going to launch a second season. So yeah, it's cool. And I do think, like you were saying, this new version of storytelling where, we're doing these episodics and just how media is moving to this new on-demand type cycle. There's always going to be a place for like huge movies, like Ready Player One, Star Wars, the Avengers. There's always, room for stuff like that. But these other smaller stories, I think the episodic stuff fits it well because you can do, like, you couldn't watch a 10-hour movie, right?
Nope.
But you can watch 10 episodes at 45, 30 minutes, even an hour long,
It's the Netflix effect, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's, and to watch it, when you want also helps a lot with it. So you can break it up. So
not to mention you can watch it on your phone.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
TV,
yeah. That does
on
help.
your iPad,
right? Yeah.
whatever, man. What about you?
So I have been getting way more into, VR and AR. At least not getting more into it as in like I'm playing or actually participating in using it, but just kind of studying it a little bit more than I have been. I was coming from my background of visual effects, I was kind of in it. I've worked on some projects that were done in VR and some small ones for AR, but I watched Ready Player One, speaking of the which, the other day, and I knew because I read the book that it was going to be a really cool movie, but my mind was kind of blown the movie is amazing. I think the movie's amazing. It's one of the better movies that has come out.
So it was a good book to movie.
Yeah, great transition. Yeah. A lot of people and a lot of nerds out there are going to give me shit because the challenges are different. Spoiler: the challenges are different in the movie versus the book, but. Okay. The movie adapted well and it was good. But the thing that blew my mind was like the way that it's I guess leading to how our future is going to be is pretty close to how I think it's going to play out. I don't know about all of the it's pretty like apocalyptic looking in the movie.
Got it.
And that's how the story's kind of written, and people kind of live in this virtual world to kind of escape that.
Is the world going to be taken over by Instagram, AI?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, but I do think that the headset or a version of that, a lot of people say contact lenses, whatever that's going to be, that is coming, and living in that escape reality is definitely something I think is going to happen. Whether or not how deep you go into it, I can't see 100 years into the future, but I think it's a telling tale of like how things are actually going to play out. So it was good. It was really good. I encourage anybody out there I've
never read the book.
Read the book if you have the time. It's a long book. It's a good read. It's very, very detailed. So
cool. I've always heard the name because it's a pretty classic science fiction novel, right?
Yes. Yeah. And of course, being older end of the millennial spectrum, it's got a ton of 80s references. Cool. Back to the Future plays a huge part of it, so that caught my attention. So
cool.
But yeah, check it out. And that
and you streamed that movie?
Yeah, I streamed it. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know if it's out yet, but I streamed it.
Okay.
But
Jared has a director's cut somewhere. Maybe.
But I definitely, I encourage people to check that out. But yeah, so going into the AR and VR stuff, so that got, I was already kind of reading about, but that definitely got me a little bit more involved and pushed me even more for like a little bit further to kind of like do some more research on the coming, medias that are happening, which is, I think AR obviously is first. We've been doing a lot of AR stuff already with Snapchat and Facebook has done a lot of AR stuff, and then there's like Pokemon Go. So there's like AR's already happening. Obviously, all the phones now have AR kit, or at least all the iPhones have AR kit built in. If you have an iPhone 10, and then I forget what it's called on Android, but the Google version is similar, and they have their AR stuff going. So yeah. And that kind of leads us into some of our topic today,
for sure,
which I want to dive into. Which is all of the new updates that happened at Facebook F8 this year. But before we get into that, let me just remind you guys, don't forget to rate, subscribe, tell a friend about the podcast on video now, so we can't cut that. Tell a friend about the podcast. You can find us on social at Run with Tobe. And yeah, just give us some likes and some subscribes.
Yeah, it keeps us motivated.
Get that subscribe.
Yeah, hit that button.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic, Andrew. So Facebook F8, which is their yearly developer conference, went on a couple weeks ago. Yes, everybody out there, I know we're late to this, but we wanted to make sure that we did our due diligence by checking out, researching, and kind of checking out the stuff. So I kind of want to just talk about the good stuff that happened at F8.
So before we get there, I just wanted to say, like, I was watching some of the footage from it, and I gotta say, man, like, one thought that came to my mind. This is totally off topic, by the way, but I'll just say it is, I really miss Steve Jobs, and the reason why I say that is because you watch Zuck up there and he's presenting, and it's just, you realize how much of a command like Steve Jobs had when he was excited about it, but so like smooth. Yeah,
super controlled.
Super controlled. And then, seeing Zuck, he's like almost like yelling at people up there, like, I'm so excited about this. But I don't know.
It's an art form, man.
I know, but I just, for some reason, I just miss like Steve Jobs for some
keynotes,
reason. Watching his keynotes.
Yeah, I mean, he made because I mean it's an important topic because Apple and Steve Jobs made keynoting a thing. It wasn't really like a thing.
That style.
It wasn't like a I don't want to say a cult, but it wasn't like
the big product announcement.
Yeah, exactly. So and they obviously all these conferences have since come behind and kind of followed in
sometimes
suit,
you just don't realize like what you got until it's gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
For sure.
And then when because some of the things we're going to talk about were some pretty groundbreaking things that they're doing.
Right,
they're doing some amazing shit over there at Facebook. But it was just seeing Zuck. He's like, he's not here to make this a better world, and it was just like just. I don't know. Man. Not that it seemed inauthentic. But
no. He's just so
It's just kind of a little janky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's definitely.
What am I to say though? I'm fucking criticizing a guy who's probably 100 times smarter than I am, and I'm not doing any of the shit that he's doing. But I don't know. For some reason, I just miss Steve Jobs.
No, man, I get it. Yeah, and if you want a little bit of that Steve Jobs, just go ahead and watch Silicon Valley, and you can watch Gavin Belson do his presentations. He's in that series. He's one of the best presenters of all time.
Yep.
You can watch him present the box. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into some of that that cool stuff that we're kind of alluding to. So first off, let's go ahead and get off the table. He spent like 40 minutes, Mark Zuckerberg spent like 40 minutes on just kind of like apologizing and talking about all the data privacy stuff, which we don't really need to get into. We've kind of beat that to death. But yeah, so they're doing a ton of that. They're using a ton of AI to kind of combat that, which is great. And a
whole marketing PR campaign behind it.
Exactly. Right. Let's go ahead and jump into one of the coolest new features, I think, that's kind of going to grab a bunch of attention. Now, this is inside of the actual Facebook app itself, which is called Watch Party. It's been out for, I want to say like a year, but they've kind of given it a little bit of a facelift, and now they're really pushing it. So when it's been out for a year, that means they've probably been testing it, right? That's what they're doing. They're rolling it out across the different countries, different areas, different accounts, and testing it. But basically, so if anybody out there doesn't know what Watch Party is, it is a group streaming of either a live video or a pre-filmed video that shows up on Facebook. So you can gather all your friends and watch it in this quote unquote watch party. Everybody can comment and interact with the video. It's similar to, at least in my eyes, I haven't used it, but what I'm seeing and reading, it's similar to the Twitch effect, what Twitch has been doing. I think they're trying to kind of grab that audience. It's also similar to YouTube Live and YouTube's gaming platform.
And coming from the, both of us coming from the DJ world, it's like Be At TV.
Be At TV is a
they
great
would
example.
Stream like festivals, and people will like comment and like them, like, what track is this? Or this
that's
DJ
a great.
sucks,
I didn't even think of that. That's a great example.
Who's that hot chick in the front?
Be At TV was actually pretty groundbreaking back in the day, man.
And if you think about it, like
that was like 10 years ago when it came out,
and
or maybe
just think
longer.
about it, like they had to be able, and it was pretty high quality.
It's super high quality.
They had multiple camera angles. They'd have someone switching between the angles and stuff, and just to be able to figure out a way to compress the video. Because come on, man, like these music festivals. Like you don't have like a fiber line. Like
I always thought the best thing about Be At TV was, obviously they wanted to be quality, for that. But the other part was the fact that the audio stream was such high quality as well.
Yeah, and they had the ability to actually switch off the video.
Yes.
So you could just listen to audio. But yeah, you're right. It was like almost 10 years ago now. And that was like, I think that was like the first, at least the one that I used often.
Yep.
The first iteration of like a live social like shared experience where you're listening or watching to something at the same thing.
Right. So yeah, so Watch Party is exactly that. Obviously at massive scale because it's Facebook scale, so it's always 100 million times bigger.
It's kind of funny how Zuck he used an example of his testimonial.
Oh yeah, no,
Congress.
that was
pretty
man.
good.
Yeah, trolling Congress.
I got it. That was amazing. That was a good move.
That's classic like nerd, like 101. I'm gonna get you back like this. Yeah,
exactly.
No, that was awesome. So I think, and just I don't want to spend too much time on Watch Party because there's a ton of stuff we got to get to. But in Watch Party, I think that the leverage here is these large people who have massive groups, who have put together these massive like niche communities inside of Facebook, will now be able to broadcast things like webinars. So if you have a huge following, now you don't have to go outside of Facebook. You can keep all those
really good point.
eyeballs, right, and all the attention that you already have inside of Facebook locked in.
That's a really good point because I think a lot of marketers have been trying to figure out how to solve the organic reach problem. Right. So it's like, I built 100,000 likes on my Facebook page. But
what do I do with them?
When I post a post now, like only 5% of them see it. So if you're actually putting out content now that engages people and draws them in, gets a discussion started, they'll see your live stream or they'll see your live video content, which I actually think Facebook that's what they're trying to get people to do.
Yes.
Right.
Well, they want to keep people inside the platform, which is what we're going to get to here in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
With all the other features. But yeah, I think it's like, it chops that funnel in half. So now you don't have to go like, oh, come to my webinar outside of Facebook. You can just do it inside of Facebook.
Yep.
So I do think it's going to be a huge marketing leverage point for a lot of companies, a lot of marketers in general. Yep. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. We should definitely test that. I'm sure we will. But yeah, so that's Facebook Watch. Watch Party. Facebook Watch is a different thing. We'll get into that on another podcast. So the next thing that leads me into, and it's kind of directly involved is groups now they kind of got a facelift. It has its own tab. They're really focusing on groups. Yep. And this comes to your point that you made in the previous podcast where there's these micro networks within the network. I think that is a huge thing.
Yep.
Which what they're seeing the traffic, and it just opens up another ad platform for them to add.
So one thing I always advise our clients on, we do a lot of content marketing, right? And one thing we're always trying to figure out with content marketing is how do you get reach on your content? How do you distribute your content? Posting on social is one way, right? Running ads against it is another way. SEO is another way, right? But another thing that a lot of people,
I think it's just like a running joke now.
It's just part of the podcast now.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's it. But you know what? I'm going to hit this too. Just in case. But one thing we always advise our clients on is go out there and find communities or groups like on Reddit. Right. Or we talked about Quora you and I talked about Quora for a little bit as being able to find people who are asking questions about a specific topic, and then the people who answer those questions kind of builds a community as well.
Right.
Like if you've got
you're like a leader at that point.
Exactly. If you've got an awesome blog post or a really great piece of content or a video or something like that you want to share, find those niche communities out there who are talking about it and engaging with it. That's an awesome way to share and distribute your content. So it's great to see that. I think Facebook is clearly seeing that this is
it's a trend.
It is a trend, and then now they're letting it kind of stand on its own within the platform, right?
Yeah, and it's cool, and it kind of I think these groups kind of self-regulate. It's in a lot of them are invite only. A lot of them are, you do have the option to just leave it open so anybody can join, but the community then will weed out, and this happens on Reddit quite a bit where they will call out somebody who's, in there being negative or somebody putting up bad content or whatever.
And you'll probably get to this later, but now there's the ability to up and downvote things in Facebook. Right?
Which is a very Reddit.
Which I think is the best, instead of having different emojis or the different likes,
right?
You know what I mean? That's probably a better way to I forgot how exactly the product manager talked about it, but it was show if something is good or bad.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. It's like a self-police.
Yeah,
it's self-policing system is what it is. It's letting the community police.
Yeah, and you know,
the
that was
community.
a Reddit thing. So
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's really that's all I was going to talk about on that was that they are now going to be doing a very Reddit-like feature. So it's funny. So once we get to the end of all the features, we're just gonna sum it up and say that like Facebook, and I'll say it now, I guess Facebook is really going after every other platform right now, where they're kind of taking all these features. They're almost like using these other platforms as like, oh, you guys were my guinea pig. This feature worked. We can figure out how to make it even better, and we can produce it at scale.
It's not about being. So remember, we always talked about the whole Apple Samsung thing.
Yeah.
It's not about being first to
No,
market.
it never
with the
is.
Feature.
Yeah, it never is.
Let the other people figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Let them trip over themselves, fall over themselves, and let's figure out a way to perfect it with the scale that we have.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. That's why Apple always, I don't want to say always wins, but for the majority, that's why they win.
Yeah. And, again, I'm sure that's subjective to some people, but, I guess it pays to be the big, the 800-pound gorilla.
Right.
And to have those kind of resources.
As long as you can be nimble to move.
Sure.
You can't be slow in moving.
But dude, just the sheer volume of shit that they've released here. I mean, that's pretty damn nimble.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right?
They're clearly moving in the direction of that. So that's groups. I don't even want to get into dating native in Facebook. It's probably a new ad platform again. It's just another place where they can dump more ads.
Was it Tinder shares or like one of the dating like swipe left, swipe? I've never experienced dating in
online
today's day and age because I've been in a relationship for 15 years. But the other platforms that are out there, social dating platforms, they're screwed, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but I might be getting this mixed up with another network, but one of the ones that were public, like their share just took a dump
after Facebook
after they
launched the dating. Yeah, I'm sure user growth is like probably slowed down quite a bit. Yeah. At least new adopters, right? Because everybody's like, oh, why would I leave this platform when I can just
And they were very keen on talking about privacy.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought one of the coolest features I thought was like your texting between each other is only text available. So there's no picture or video sharing. So it hopefully takes out the creeps. Yeah. But somebody's gonna figure out a way to get a dick pic in there.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
All right, so that's Facebook dating.
So we got 7 minutes, man.
I know we're rolling. All right, so let's get into Instagram because we love Instagram. It's a huge marketing tool. We love it as just like a social platform personally. So video chat inside of Instagram. It's keeping you all on the same platform. It's going to let influencers connect one-on-one with their huge audiences.
That's awesome.
I think, which is cool. Or one on X. I don't know what the number of how many people you can actually have in the chat. I think maybe they demoed 4, but who knows? It's probably going to be more. That's a huge thing. So you can now, like, if you have a huge following, you can do meetups inside of Instagram, which is kind of cool.
And again, they took it. Periscope was pretty big.
Yep.
The other one was Marco Polo.
Yeah.
Do you ever screw that one?
Nope.
So it kind of took some of the things from Marco Polo as well, which was, I think, it had a little bit of a niche following too.
Yeah.
But once again,
they'll just
find a way to do it better.
It's cool because you can minimize the screen. You can get through the rest of the app. You're not kind of confined just to the video screen. So you've got a lot of options inside of it. I'm interested to see how that's going to do. The third-party stories integration is massive. So they're starting off with, so anybody out there that doesn't know what third-party story integration means is your Instagram stories, they're now partnering with people like Spotify and GoPro to start, and you can natively input media into your story. So what they noticed was a lot of people were sharing screenshots and videos of music. So naturally, they're like, okay, well, we got to partner with a music company. So they partnered with Spotify. Now, from Spotify, you can directly link whatever music you're listening to straight into it. And it embeds a deep link. So then it opens up the Spotify app if you're a user clicking it.
And I noticed that maybe 2 or 3 days after the product, like people were actually
using it,
when I was, swiping through my stories. It was pretty crazy to see how quickly people were adopting it. So I'm always curious about user adoption rates when these new features get released.
Yeah.
And
it's 100% in our office.
Yeah, I know, right?
We always test them.
But I think I'm a Spotify user. I think you're an Apple Music, right?
user. Yeah.
But man, Spotify, it's just amazing.
I keep wanting to switch, man. I keep wanting to switch.
What's keeping you?
My watch.
Yeah. Oh, word.
It's so integrated with my watch, the AirPods, like everything works.
Yeah.
I have a family plan, so my sister and
I'm shocked.
But there's a Spotify family plan, so that's not an excuse.
But I'm shocked that Spotify still hasn't developed a native Apple Watch app.
Yeah,
I've heard some rumors like some
Apple
kid
Music works
or some
great
developer
for exercising.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the one downside of Spotify that I see. But I will say that the recent Apple Watch update, or not recent, but maybe 2 updates ago, you can skip through tracks on non-Apple Music audio platforms.
Oh, cool.
Like
so it's opened up a little bit.
Pandora, Spotify now. So you have a little, but you still can't like look through playlists and things like that.
Like you can with Apple Music.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The integration with the watch is really good. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into that. All right. So third-party integration. So now you can share GoPro right from your GoPro to your phone, which is great. I mean, everybody that's ever used a GoPro knows that's a pain in the ass. You got to like unload the media, figure out how to maybe crop it, compress
just
it, whatever.
Unloading the media,
exactly.
Taking the damn thing out of the case, finding that old school USB cable.
Well, I mean, you could. So a couple of versions ago, they started, or maybe a couple of years ago, they started letting you Wi-Fi connect your phone and download media from the phone directly from the GoPro.
It's been a little bit.
But now you don't have to do any editing. You can send it right to Instagram. You don't have to go into a third-party editing app or an Apple editing app or an Android editing app. So. It goes right to Instagram, which is cool. And then the last thing, or the last couple things. So there's a new Explorer search, which is crazy. This is gonna kill everybody's like organic searching. They're organizing it in a topic fashion, and to me, the first thing I saw was like it looks like Pinterest. You put your interest in, or you tell it what hashtags you want to follow, and then it repopulates your dashboard, your searching dashboard. So everybody's is going to be different, tailored based off of your interest, which is just like Pinterest. So they're kind of like attacking that way to organize media. So a lot of people out there who are, leaning on getting like followers or likes or being discovered through just random search or popularity, that's no longer going to happen. That's going away. And they've been testing this type of thing on hashtags, which you could follow hashtags for a while.
Yeah, I think that was probably their quote unquote MVP for it, potentially, to see like how sticky it was. Maybe,
and they got 100 million people. 100 million people have used following hashtags to date. So it clearly worked. I actually follow a lot of hashtags. I actually prefer that over some channels. You can follow based off location too, which is cool. So those are 2 pretty big changes that are going to happen inside of Instagram that a lot of people should be aware of. And the last one is the camera effects. So they've been going after Snapchat for a while, right? And now they're taking it to the next level. So they kind of sat back while Snapchat left or kept, making this AR play where you could do all the masks and the different faces and stuff like that. They've been kind of, partnering with different companies to promote different things like Mountain Dew and Coca-Cola and all these companies, right? So Snapchat is now going to do that too. You're going to have third-party effects, which is basically just having advertisers build effects, but they only show up in accounts that follow them. So,
okay, got it.
So when you open up your camera,
it's like gating it.
It's exactly. If you open up your camera, you won't see the Mountain Dew lens, or it's not called a lens, it's called an effect, but you won't see that unless you follow Mountain Dew.
It's the new, like, give me your email address to get this lead back.
That's exactly what it is, dude. So what happens is you'll go through your stories feed, and let's say I see yours and you have like a Mountain Dew can on your head. I'm like, holy crap, that's cool. I want that. Now I have to go follow Mountain Dew to get it. Yeah. So it's their way, and it's creating that FOMO effect. Like, I want that. I can't miss out,
Yep, for sure.
And I'm sure a lot, and they have obviously the eyeballs and the attention for advertising. You said you've seen a ton of more advertising inside of.
Dude, totally. Instagram stories. And dude, it's crazy. In fact, I actually pay more attention. I definitely pay more attention to and a lot of those ads don't require a crazy production.
Yep. No, it's not, man. It's
a
real
lot of them-
basic. Yeah,
it's
it's
super
very basic.
But anyways,
It's
man,
5 seconds to 15 seconds. So I mean, you don't have a lot of time, and you're not going to spend a ton to get into details with that amount of time that you have on screen. So yes, so we will link all these things up in the show notes with the giant keynote, and then the last few things I do want to kind of touch on. One, this is obviously giving Snapchat a run for its money. They've been losing users. Losing users and adopters at a steady pace for a while. Even their main demographic, which is like 18 to 34, have kind of like started to abandon the platform because they're not adapting quick enough, and they keep making these crazy changes in their interface, which is pissing everybody off. Right?
It's super jarring.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. I was a big proponent on Snapchat. And I'll say it here. Like, I thought they were going to be the next like Facebook. I really thought they were gunning for it for a while. Right before they went public, then they went public and they kind of shit the bed because they can't keep up with what their shareholders want to see in revenue and user growth, and it kind of sucks, man, because I don't like seeing when I do like seeing Facebook make these advances, because this is clearly the result of them paying attention to everybody else, but at the same time, like, I don't like seeing just one network out there having control.
I think being a public company is a very difficult thing, man.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't really speak for that. I'm sure it is.
And also, like, let's just remember the CEO of Snap is a pretty young dude.
Yeah.
And I think to navigate those sorts of waters when you become a public company, from being such a creative, like, forward thinking about fun, and you just remember Snap, it's just a whole other ball game when you go public.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of revolutionized the idea of like how we review content on our phones.
Totally.
Before that, it was everybody flipping their phone, landscape, let's watch a long video, and they made it cool to like hold your phone up and take a picture in portrait mode, when it wasn't cool to take a picture. I don't know if you remember, but a lot of the demos for the cameras back in the day on smartphones were like, oh, well, look how good the picture is landscape.
I didn't know that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and they made it cool to like be so that like your artwork didn't have to be perfect. Your picture didn't have to be perfect, and they made that cool. And I hope they don't disappear. I hope they figure it out and kind of get their shit together. But I don't know. So that's pretty much all of the Facebook stuff. They did do some updates to Messenger and WhatsApp, and we have like 5 minutes left. We can go ahead and jump into that, or we can save that for another podcast. What do you think?
Let's save it, man. Let's try and hit our goal.
Okay, yeah. So we'll, on the next one, we will talk about Messenger, Facebook, VR, AR.
Maybe one last thing.
Yep.
Is just the release of the new Oculus.
Okay. So we'll talk about Facebook, VR, and AR. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll save Messenger and WhatsApp for another one, because they're like, that could be a whole podcast on its own. All right. So Facebook, AR, and VR. So obviously they released the new version of Oculus, which is Oculus Mobile, I think it's what it's called.
Yep.
At a cheap price point. It's $200.
$200, man.
Which is awesome. Now everybody can have really HD quality VR. Yep. So that's a huge move in the direction of like, we're getting closer to like VR being like a real thing. But they're also pushing VR and more of like an AR play inside of the Facebook platform with ads, 3D objects built into posts, similar to like the IKEA app that you described way back in the podcast, day, right? Mm-hmm. Where you can hold your phone up and you can see an item, but now like anybody can build those 3D objects and dump them into Facebook. So if you have a product, water bottle, you can have somebody, post that on and say, hey, look, check it out. I'm really liking this water. And then it's clickable. It gives you a deep link into a bigger
landing page.
A landing page or a native Facebook ad, because they're trying to build landing pages inside of Facebook with the canvas and things like that. Yep. So their whole goal is to keep you on their platform.
And kind of taking a real quick step back to Oculus, I actually had a conversation with someone, and I actually introduced you guys this guy named Andrew, another Andrew. One thing that he had brought up was that he's really interested in VR, and one thing he had brought up was like part of like there's this kind of debate going on, like has VR not gotten adoption because of the hardware or the content,
right,
or a little bit of both.
That's been the debate for a while, for sure.
And he brought that more to my attention, so that was a little more top of mind when he spoke about it with me. But when I saw the $200 thing, I was like, oh shit, like this potentially solves the hardware problem.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It makes it a lot more accessible
Right.
than a $2,500 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, even I think the main Oculus that you the daddy Oculus, we'll call it. You have to plug that into a higher grade machine.
Got it.
Where Oculus Mobile is you can just pair it with your phone.
Yep. So that's cool that they're taking those strides.
Yep.
It's kind of like I'm trying to think of like the first smartphone, like the Palm Trio, or like the BlackBerry, or like the pre-iPhone smartphones.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, HTC and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't figure it out.
But anyways, I'm sure we can jump into that, the rest of us, into another episode.
Yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, they're definitely making moves to make adoption a lot easier, a lot more scalable, and I mean, hopefully a lot less scary to people. A lot of people are just kind of scared to try it. So yeah, with these new moves, it's definitely moving in the right direction. They're leading the charge on that, which is great. But yeah, we can get into, we'll save Messenger and WhatsApp for the next podcast or another podcast, because there's definitely some cool stuff that they're doing in those.
Yeah, and on the next episode or next podcast, whenever we do get to talk about this, it's where things are going right now is changing the entire paid digital space.
Absolutely.
For everybody.
Yep.
So I guess we can leave it at there and get to that on another one.
Yeah, cool. Well, we will leave it at that. Once again, guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, tell a friend, follow us on social @RunWithTobe. And we'll see you on the next one.